Hi, and welcome everybody to this episode with Anita Buzzy Prentiss. I'm so excited that you're here and I welcome you today. And in order for us to get started, if it's okay, I would like to read your bio so people that don't know you can get a little bit of a sense about what you do, what you're up to, and later we can sort of get more into the details. Anita Buzzy Prentiss is a professional photographer who creates images of confidence, beauty, connection, and true emotion from a place of intuition and love. Anita sees the best in people, and Anita's studio, Buzzy Photography, specializes in personal branding, portraits, musicians, and dancers. She leads creative photo mentorships and has published two books: Portraits, Quarantine Porch Portraits, and Waiting in the Wings, Photos and Interviews of Dancers. And my personal notice, people ask me all the time, where did you get that great picture? And sometimes people are really sad because they live here and they don't live in Pittsburgh. I tell them, go visit her in Pittsburgh. So welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So, like I just said, we've known each other for, I think, 20 years. I was reminiscing how we met at WBN. I think, um, I think you only had one kid back then. I think, I don't know.
Maybe
And
none. Who knows?
no, I think, I don't know, maybe you were pregnant, I don't know. And we met at a networking group for women, and then you hired me to work with you as a coach, and that was sort of like the beginning of our relationship. And here we are, many years later. So I'm very grateful to know you. You've enriched my life, created beautiful pictures,
Thank you.
and as a friend, I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So our job here is to inspire people, and like I just said a little bit as we got ready for the interview, I've been crying a lot. Most of the listeners I've already shared because I did a podcast about that. My mother passed away, and it really opened up a lot of things for me. And when I look out in the world, there's a lot of stuff going on that challenges us. And I certainly, even though I coach people, I say, these days I feel like I definitely don't have my shit together. And so our job is to inspire people, help them in those times when we feel like we don't know everything, we don't have our shit together, and yet still, how can I make a difference? How can I keep moving when I really feel like I don't want to? So I put this out, and my first sort of question to you is, what do you do when you feel stuck? How does Anita, when she doesn't wanna, when she's confused, or she is frustrated or depressed, which we have all of those moments at some point. What do you do?
Well, the first thing that came to mind was, a lot of times people come to me for pictures when maybe they're in a situation like that and they're having a day where their mind's all over the place and they're maybe not feeling their best or their relationship's messed up or they're not sure they brought the right clothes or their car is having trouble or their pet's at the vet or there's always things going on in our lives, but yet we still want to look our best or be making sure our business is moving and grooving, and we still want to put our best face forward and our best mission statement forward, even though everything's going wrong. And a lot of times I end up being people's life coaches in situations like that. So I feel like I've become a cheerleader and a psychologist to people in their times of need, and um, have gotten a lot of comments like, I almost canceled, I almost didn't want to do it, or on people's wedding days I've been behind the scenes like talking people through challenges and feel like I end up being like a calming presence at times like that. So I take my own advice when I end up being in those situations and have to talk myself through times when I don't want to show up or I don't feel my best, most confident self, and feel like when you really feel like you don't want to do something, a lot of times you just need to keep your eye on the prize or your self calm and grounded, and yet still keep focused on your priorities and not let all the stuff around you sway you from what you know is the most important, best thing for you.
Let's take a quick break. I want to remind you that if you're interested in learning more about neuro emotional coaching or kinesiology, if you would like to have a taste, find out what it could do for you or your business, your family, please look at the show notes. There's a link for a 30-minute free introductory meeting, and we can explore it. You can look at what is holding you back, what are your dreams, what is it that you always wanted to achieve. Don't be shy, sign up. Now, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, that's really a good point. We've done a few weddings together, and it is so, and and from my own experience, being on the other side of the lens, it can be such a vulnerable experience because it's permanent.
Right.
Here you are having your picture taken, and it's like, okay, you can edit it a little bit, brush it up a little bit, but in the end, it's like there you are, you're glory. And for most of the people, I think it really brings out the inner critic, and all of a sudden, everything is like even a little worse. So I think when we feel bad, vulnerable, then we don't want to show up. We don't want to keep going because it seems so difficult. Because how can we? So then when you show up, do you have like some words of comfort for yourself, or is there like something that you do, like a ritual, or that supports you
Um,
in some ways?
I think a quick way, and I keep putting myself in my photographer point of view, is like when I can tell somebody's sort of veering off into worry land or like lacking confidence, is that sort, even just posture. Like I'll just say,
Mm,
sit tall, relax your shoulders, take a deep breath, even just if their face feels really squished, or I'll just say, close your eyes for a minute. A lot of times people get that sort of deer in headlights look, or like their eyes are like, I'll just say, close your eyes for a second. And just when you're ready, just open your eyes and just a little smile in your eyes. And then if it's still not working, I'll just say like, uh, think about like think about your ultimate client. Like think about like a favorite person that you love, when you get a text from them or you get an email from them or the phone rings and it's them, like, and you just can't wait to hear from them. Like think about them and like think about how they were going to feel when they see this picture, and they're always cheering you on, and you love working with them. Like you're taking these pictures and they're going to see them, or you're taking this picture and your loved one's going to have it on their desk. Like so I feel like when you feel you're most vulnerable and you're least wishy-washy, sort of lacking confidence self, like if you can feel it in your body and slow your breath down and get your posture, put your hands on your hips and get that sort of like Wonder Woman confident pose, but also relaxed at the same time, it can help with like almost any situation that you can walk in and handle a difficult conversation or a doctor's appointment or standing in line at the post office. I don't know, anything where you feel like extra frustrated or like you don't want to do, like you can handle with that situation, whether it's getting your picture taken or anything where you feel like is a challenging thing.
that's good advice. It's really hard to look up and say, I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I don't know. But when we look down, it's much easier to do that. Um,
Or straight ahead, just
or
handle
straight
it,
ahead.
keep straight on.
Yeah. Um, I might put you on the spot here for a moment, and you can certainly say, no, I don't want to talk about this, but I know you've gone through some health challenges, some serious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you get through that?
Well, that's huge. I mean, I had to find out that I had a huge brain tumor and have brain surgery. And being in a doctor's office and hearing news like that is pretty shocking. Having to go through that sense of vulnerability and recovery and pain like you wouldn't believe is, life or death kind of stuff, just puts everything in priority, and really really makes me have like a sense of humor in a way about things when I hear people say things like, "Oh, everything in the world is terrible, and this is terrible, and that's terrible, and everything," and I just sometimes I just want to shake them by the shoulders and be like, "You have so much to be grateful for. You have your health, you have, people around you and that love you, and you have, springtime, and you have fresh air, and you have delicious food, and you can taste things and smell things." I mean, when you have something like, the brain surgery and the fact that everything in a moment can be taken away, you can just die like right this second. Like if that is on your plate, like to complain about things that you have no control over is like, just come back here and just realize like you have so much around you that you can be grateful for, and just again come back to that calm stance of Wonder Woman pose and just take a deep breath and have a sense of gratitude and wonder for how great the world can be, and not focus on all the things that are awful and just smile and enjoy life. So that's my speech for
That's a
handling
good,
the challenges.
that's a good speech, and it's awesome. It's like you had that experience, and it's just, you kept the positive. You looked at the silver lining, and it sounds like it's still sometimes carrying you through a difficult situation, because I know it was a long time ago that you had that experience, and I think for some people they have that, but then some people forget. Oh, that was a long time ago, and now it's now, and the world's terrible, and then you look at all the terrible things in the world. There's actually some neuroscience that talks about the concept of mirror neurons. And the concept talks about that, and we know this intuitively, that when we are around things that make us feel good or bring a positive out in us, that we will vibrate in that frequency. And it's because of that our neurons mirror what they see on the outside. So it's, just a scientific way of looking at and saying, hey, yay, surround yourself with positive things, things that make you feel good. Look at the things that happen to you, find the silver lining, and then, take that, run with that, take that ball and just pull
Heck yeah.
yourself forward.
It's such a choice, I really think. I mean, I'm just looking out my window here and the fence is starting to fall down. I could focus on that fence and get mad about it all day long and complain about the neighbor did this and that fence shouldn't be falling down. And like, I feel like there's some people that like find everything wrong about everything around them, and that's wrong and this is wrong and this person did this thing wrong. It's like, I feel like I could choose to focus on all kinds of things that are wrong or that have gone wrong or that I don't feel good about, or this hurts or that hurts, or I could focus on this beautiful bird at the bird feeder and the fact that this daffodil is gorgeous and that this is a beautiful day outside and that I feel good and that I like this lipstick color that I put on, or like there's this huge list of other things that I could focus on that are wonderful. And I won't deal with the fence. Like, who cares? Like, just will deal with it. I feel like
Yeah,
it's a choice. You can choose. You can you can choose what you focus on.
it's true. And I think there's a balance between, how do I educate myself and understand what's going on there, because there is a lot of negative stuff going on. And not that I want to dwell in it, but I wrote a newsletter yesterday, and it came out today about what's going on in Israel and my own journey. And in the middle of it is a podcast that I listened to by one of the moms who lost her son. He was a hostage, and he was killed. So, and how she spoke about it. And so that's, extremely kind of negative yet and painful. And yet for me, it was a source of inspiration. So it's like this fine line between dwelling in the negative and looking and finding something wrong with everything. Or also looking at the negative and the suffering and then doing something with it, either to understand better or to have us motivate to change something, because that is out there. That's a reality for many people. Oftentimes, I say, thank God I don't live in Gaza, because I have water, I have electricity, I have a place to live, I have food, and a lot of people don't have that. You don't even have to, not necessarily go to Gaza. There's lots of places in the world where there's none of that available for what we have. So the balance between, hey, I want to stay positive and I want to move myself forward and inspire myself, and yet I know I don't want to be blind and going with my eyes closed through the world, because that doesn't feel right to me either.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are some horrible, horrible things that happen to wonderful people all the time, all day long. And I don't know, I can't like make a grand statement about how to handle everything in the whole world. But I mean, when I was like 6, my sister died. I was 15, and there was definitely tragedy and sadness growing up. I didn't grow up in this Pollyanna sort of world, but I feel like when there's sadness and tragedy, like focusing on how we can all gather together and love each other and help each other through these things and see beauty in little things and help each other. And I find such comfort in Mr. Rogers and his sort of wisdom and kindness and love and looking for the helpers, and just the children and seeing their viewpoint on things, and how we're all connected to each other deep down, and how I don't know, I sort of lose my footing when it comes to huge world events. Like it just freaks me out sometimes, the kind of war and politics and things. Like I can't even almost go there, but I feel like all I can do is in my small world is spread kindness and love to the people that I know as much as possible. And hopefully it reverberates like little ripples out and helps in other ways throughout the world. I don't know.
That's beautiful. And you certainly do. So you do.
Even if it's just to take a nice picture of someone that they like.
No, those pictures are sort of permanent. People relish those. So you just said, made a nice transition, because I was going to talk about people that inspire you. And, for those of our listeners who don't know about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Fred Rogers, a very famous Pittsburgh guy who created the TV program for children on national public television. And that was then broadcasted all over the United States. I don't know if it ever made it outside the United States, but certainly he had a wonderful program, and many people in Pittsburgh and outside of Pittsburgh that grew up with that. So, who inspired you?
Fred Rogers. I love him so much. Oprah Winfrey, Madonna, Prince, lots of musicians, just music all day, every day, just lots of musicians and rock stars and painters and art and photographers and people who make bold strokes with their presence and leading the way with being creative and speaking out on uh, writers, Kurt Vonnegut and John Irving and Maya Angelou, just books that like stopped me in my tracks, and movies. And I don't know, I could go on and on, but all the kind of creative things that would come across my path and just make me see the world in a different way. And just being out in nature, just walking, and just the world in general just always inspires me all day long. Just everywhere I look is something inspiring.
What are you reading right now, or is there something in particular that you're listening to?
I just read a book, finished it last night, called If Cats Disappeared from the World. It's an old book, and it was about a guy who was dying, and the devil showed up and offered him extra days to live um, if he would agree to let things disappear from the world.
Ooh.
So he agreed to let phones disappear from the world, and then the sort of insight into what life was like without phones, which was a really nice day to see people without their phones, and then without clocks was the next day, and to think about if you just live without any sense of time. And then when he said to let cats, he just couldn't do it.
No, we need to have
Yeah,
cats.
we need to keep the cats. That was a
Oh,
tough one.
that's
So
good.
it's beautiful. It was like that made me really cry, because it talked about relationships and trying to think about the end of your life, and if what you would do if you knew you were going to die in a few days, like what relationships you would want to heal, and the people you'd want to spend time with, and the conversations you'd have. And so that was a great book.
Nice. We'll put it in the show notes. Tell us
Yeah,
what the author was, and then we'll put it in the show notes. That's
yeah.
good.
It-
And is there any kind of music that you're listening to right now that you're?
oh, so much. I just love. I sing in a choir. I love classical singing. I love Baroque music and Bach, and um, something that I just love singing for some reason and hearing is Fauré's Requiem.
Nice.
For some reason, in springtime, I always want to just stare out the window when it's raining and just hear that Requiem. Just speaks to my heart. It's like
Yeah.
sad but happy and hopeful at the same time. Kind
Yeah,
of
it's deep.
together. Yeah.
Intense, it's deep, it's beautiful, it's like comes from it and it moves emotions up and down. So it's like, perfect piece of music to sort of have a cathartic experience, when you go, through all the different stages. So that's
Right.
great.
Right.
What else do you want to share with us? I wanted to talk a little bit about, I mean, you know what I do. I work a lot with the unconscious and subconscious. If there's some sort of central belief, or belief, maybe there's more than one that has helped you really to move yourself forward or keep yourself going, anything that you want to share along those lines.
Well, something you've always helped me with is that sense of moving towards or moving away from something, and you feel it in your body. So with the muscle testing, just even at the grocery store, like, do you want broccoli or do you not want broccoli today? Like, it just, you feel it. It's there. Like, do you like this person, or do you feel like, no, yes, no, like that is there in every situation, and it's real, and it's not something you ever need to like question. And sometimes it doesn't make sense, And sometimes you never understand exactly what's going on, but that intuitive feeling is so helpful. And if you let it guide you, your decisions will always be right for you. And you've always helped me with that. And sometimes when I'm confused about something and you help just get me centered and realize, oh, that's because I wasn't really tuning into what I'm really feeling here. And when you help me realize, like, I really do want to do that, or I don't want to do that, like, it's in your body and in your system and in your whole sensibility. Just trust your intuition and do whatever it takes to get yourself to that place where you can feel that trust. And sometimes it takes doing more walks in nature or breathing more deeply or centering yourself in whatever way works for you. Like, I feel like you've really helped me with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, intuition is important, and it's something that we're not being taught how to follow our intuition. I think less and less and less with all the devices and all the stuff that's going on. Just check Dr. Google, or we're numbing ourselves by with lots of screen time. And muscle testing is definitely one of the ways that you can check in with your intuition, where you can verify your intuition, which I encourage everybody to do more of. And there's a difference between your gut feeling and intuition. So to even differentiate, am I relying on my past experiences, and that is what I'm calling my intuition, or is it really a connection of sort of my higher sense and myself and my community, and I'm now taking all those and following those. So let's talk about intuition for a moment, because I think it's a good subject matter. How do you know that what you're experiencing is your intuition? Is there some sort of markers that you have, or anything that you can share?
I just have a question. When you said there's a difference between your gut feeling and your intuition, what do you mean?
Well, sort of like sometimes we have like a gut feeling, and a gut feeling is usually more rooted in past experiences that we have. So, where in an intuition is sort of taking all parts of you into consideration, not just the past experiences, but also sort of like what I would say being connected to your higher self. So you have your past experiences, you have your higher self, you have your conscious self, because there may be a past experiences that I have that is because I have created myself, I have my experiences in my life, and all of us, we've created behaviors, survival methods, how we survive certain things. And oftentimes here we are in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, on, and we still have some of these survival patterns. And so we want to make sure that what we call intuition is not a strategy to deal with, a nicer way of my survival strategy, but it's really a combination of me being in line with what my higher purpose is, or what I think my higher purpose is, and all parts of me. Does that make sense?
Kind of, but I feel a little bit like for me, it's just connected. Like I can't dil- discern what I think. For me, it's just like I know for sure. I feel like maybe because I've put a lot of, I don't know. I feel like from the time I was really young, I've had a real strong connection to my gut feeling, which I would also call my intuitive connection. And I've made decisions based on that, even one that didn't make logical sense. And sometimes it made my parents crazy, and sometimes it made teachers not like me, but it made certain friends gravitate towards me because I was always like quirky and
Mm.
artsy, and I feel like I've always made friends with certain people who tended to be a little bit more that way and less logical minded. So maybe at times I would come across as, I don't know what the, like I'm trying to think of a not as flattering term for somebody who leads that way. Like I wouldn't maybe come across as being super academically inclined or whatever. Like, so I would be more of a bohemian, whatever hippie type led, intuitive, free spirit. But yet I always felt like that led me to the happiest, most fun, more heart-led life. And I feel like it's all, anytime I look back and think, yeah, that was definitely a good idea, it was because I was making a decision based on that. I could never be like an accountant or somebody who did work that was very streamlined and straight and narrow because of that type of leaning.
Give us an example of maybe recently of when you feel like what you would call intuition and gut feeling sounds like it's sort of like one and the same, or
Um,
that you used it and it turned out, amazing, or
well, I'm just looking out the window at these birds at the bird feeder, and like I have a room that's filled with bird seed for the bird feeder outside, and then this room that has a bunch of plants in it that's like a closed in like little porch, and we rescued a couple like cockatiels, and we have a bunch of plants in there, and sometimes mice get in there. I don't know, like for some people would think that was just like the weirdest thing, but I love it. But like it doesn't make total sense. Like it's not something that's totally like the best use of, the real estate. Like, I don't know. I've had some people make comments like, but doesn't that bring mice around or whatever? And I'm like, so I don't know,
so
whatever.
what?
I like the birds. Like what? I don't know. So there's different attitudes for things that are like that, I guess. Is that a good example? I don't know. I
I
love
don't know.
birds.
It's an example that works for you.
It does.
You know, I mean, I think oftentimes, people will want to lean more into their intuition around, decision making.
Yeah.
And like, what do I do? Do I go here? Do I go there? Like right now, there's a lot of decisions that I need to make, and I'm sort of just, looking at my options, and my intuition is not speaking very clearly to me, so I'm just in a waiting pattern, holding pattern. And then, today, and I have to schedule some exams, medical exams, and I was just like, my intuition was just telling me, just do XYZ, and I just be very clear about, you need to have an appointment this week. And usually it takes months to get an appointment. I was like, sure enough, I have an appointment for a CT in 2 days. So, I was just like, my intuition was to tell me, call now, do this, do this, do this, do that. And I did, and it all worked out. So, for me, it just like I used my intuition to make the calls at the right time. Some people could say that was just luck, but I don't really believe in luck. So, we can use our intuition, whether it's about the birds and the way you use your real estate, or whether it's about decision making. And, encourage the people that are listening today, or in future days and weeks to come, just to maybe even think about it. Am I using my intuition? What is my intuition? How do I define my intuition? how can it support me? And I think we both agree on that it's an important tool that we have that we want to enhance and dust off and use more of and teach our children and confirm its existence for sure.
Yeah. I feel like I use it all day long, so I can't think of like a huge example of it because it's just something that guides me with everything. But
Yeah, you probably have it in your photos. When you take photos, your intuition tells you to do this, do that, have them look like this, wear this. I don't know. It's like,
yeah, all the time. I mean, just even little things like, I don't know, somebody will come for pictures and there was this senior photo shoot and she was standing there and I said, "Do you need a sunflower?" And she just looked at her mom and she's like, and I went in and I just happened to have a sunflower that I got at the grocery store that day. And I handed it to her. She goes, "I love sunflowers." Like she was going to cry. And I was like, why did I want to get a sunflower at the grocery store that day? I don't know. I don't know. Something told me to get sunflowers. And she just happened to be there. Like there's like these little like links that happen throughout my life all the time because it makes life fun, like a game in a way, because I feel like I'm open to those like little connections. And like little magical things happen the more open I am to them, the more fun things just sort of fall into my path, whether it's making an appointment that works out and it just happens to be available or finding sunflower. Like it's great when you find those little links that happen.
so true. Well, I want to sort of come to a close today and wondering is there anything that you want to share about the work that you do? That's one. And if there's a quote that you love that you would like to share with us.
Well, if you're ever in Pittsburgh and want pictures, come on over. What else?
I highly recommend that. If you're in Pittsburgh and you want to get your photo taken, however, your family, and we do have a lot of Pittsburgh listeners, and so we're going to put your info in the show notes. And Anita doesn't just do photos; she does Pilates.
Right.
And,
Yeah. I teach Pilates and I teach Pilates on Zoom too. So I do some virtual Pilates sessions. You need some Pilates in your life. It's the best. Keeping you grounded and strong.
Everybody needs Pilates in their life.
Oh, yeah. And for some reason, the quote that popped into my mind is life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. It just popped in my head, so I'm just saying it. And I don't even know who said it, but I love that quote. Just kind of up for me. I don't know.
That's good. It's powerful. We'll find out who said it. So, anyway, it's been great to have you. I appreciate the time spent with us. If people want to look you up, please do so. And keep taking beautiful pictures of dancers and families and portraits and keep making the world a better place just in the way that you know how to do it.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Take care. Thank you for listening to today's podcast on embracing intuition and positivity with our incredible guest, Anita Buzzy Prentiss. And here are the takeaways. Number 1, cultivate gratitude by focusing on the positive aspects of your life, especially during challenging times. Number 2, incorporate deep breathing and centering techniques to help you trust your intuition more readily. Number 3, surround yourself with inspiring art, music, and literature to fuel your creativity and to broaden your perspective. Number 4, use the Wonder Woman pose to boost confidence and center yourself in facing difficult situations. Number 5, make a conscious effort to notice and appreciate the small magical moments that occur in your daily life. That's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for being here. Please recommend it to other folks. Take care until I see you again. All right, action takers, as we wrap up today's episode, I want you to know that I believe in you. Each of you has the power to create positive change in your life, no matter where you're starting from. Remember, it's okay to take small steps. Every bit of progress counts. And the sooner you can take action, the better, because your saboteur loves to create doubt and confusion. If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what I'll ask of you. Like, subscribe, leave Apple and Spotify ratings and reviews, tell a friend, and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you love. Your support helps this message reach more people who might need to hear it, especially right now. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode to support you on your journey. Until then, this is Dr. Barbara reminding you that you're worthy of an extraordinary life. Be kind to yourself as you work towards your goals, and remember, I am rooting for you every step of the way.